Hi. Um, this video is going to be about some questions I found online about witchcraft. They're just random questions I found and decided to put them together. I know I've done a lot of these, so I don't know how well that's going to do, but update before that. I got my new camera, my new camcorder. However, I have to wait until I have a way to upload the videos that I get on them onto either a computer or onto my phone. Until then, I'm gonna have to keep going on my phone. So hopefully I will get that situated and I'll be able to start doing stuff outside and things like that that isn't gonna kill my battery on my phone. But the main thing is that I've got one. So now all the big thing is to use it. Alright, so let's get into this. The first question is my most favorite spell to use. I don't really have one. Mainly the spells I use are spells on to stay calm or to help me find something if I've lost something, stuff like that, trivia, stuff like that. I prefer to stay away from anything that could be considered using it for self-gain. So the next one is one spell that backfired on me. Okay, this goes back to the first question. Obviously, there's a lot of spells I don't do because of that. The one spell that I have used that backfired on me was a love spell. It involved my ex that I was engaged to for 8 years. Obviously, that didn't backfire right away. It took a few years to do it, but it turned out to be just a horrible idea altogether, and by the time that it had gotten to that point, there was nothing I could do about it. The spell had already mutated and backfired, and by the time I got around to fixing it, mine and his relationship was screwed. Like, we couldn't even go back to being friends. So that is something to keep in mind for anyone who is new to witchcraft. Don't do love spells if it's for self-gain. Just don't. It's a very bad idea, and I found that out the hard way and probably shouldn't have tried it, but you know, that's how you learn. Okay, so the next one is, what does Wiccan or witchcraft mean to you? Obviously means freedom. I don't have to listen to a Bible, read a Bible, pray to one God, or get down on my knees to pray, or go to confessional, or anything as to that nature. It doesn't affect anything. Like, I know some religions depend on how you cover your face up. We don't do that on this one either. It's purely crap, I can't even think of the word. It's purely up to you as to what you want to do. We don't force each other to cut. We don't force ourselves to not cut our hair. We don't force ourselves to keep it natural or anything like that. We wear what we want when we want. We do what we want when we want. We believe what we want when we want. We have no limitations, and perhaps that's why I follow what I follow. Granted, there are some rules that I have already set for myself, but that is a preference, a personal preference that I have decided to do for myself. I think that every religion has rules at some point or fashion, and while that is what I like, is to not have too many rules, I do think that they are needed. So that is the answer to that question. Do you think Wicca is misunderstood? Possibly. Depending on who you talk to, it very well could be. I have to admit, I've gotten pretty lucky, as I haven't gotten any too much hate on it. My mother doesn't like it, but you know, that's typical Christian thing. Christians, especially the nice ones, don't want to see you supposedly burn in hell. But at the same time, my mother's pretty nice about it. She doesn't rub it in my face or anything like that, or try to convert me every 3 minutes. And so that's where I am considered very lucky. However, I have heard stories and read stuff on certain things that just makes me wonder about our society. Why do we constantly hurt people because they don't believe what we believe? That's like me saying, oh, well, you're Christian, you're not Wiccan, I have to shove it down your throat, or I have to hurt you, or whatever. No, to us that's not good. We're not okay with that, and we don't like hate. Now, if that's your preference, that's all fine and well, but stay away from me. Okay, next one is my opinion on psychic ability. Again, that's kind of iffy. Now, as to whether or not you believe in that is a totally different story. If you don't believe in it, there's no point in me answering the question. But if you do, I would have to say that it is possible. Just like it's possible that someone out there could possibly move objects with their minds, or start fires with their minds, or anything to that effect. Your mind is a very powerful thing. It's also found out through science that, yes, our mind is capable of that. To say that it's not real because nobody has seen it is kind of ridiculous, because you don't know. You've not been to every place on the planet. I guarantee somebody, not everybody has been to every place on the planet. So that is my opinion on that. I'm not even going to go into what I believe in. Not the point of the video. Anyway, the next one is, how do you think all religions relate to each other? I do believe that at some point in fashion, our religions connect together. Now, as to whether or not that means that it connects together after you die, like in the afterlife, or some form or fashion, I don't know. Or maybe the gods all connect together. Your God could be my God, or vice versa. Nobody knows this. We've not met our gods, at least not face to face. And frankly, to say that they're not real because you haven't seen them is hypocritical. You've not seen any of your gods either. You've not seen Jesus, you've not seen the actual God that you pray to face to face, in actual body. Just like we haven't seen ours. So to say that ours isn't real because of that is counterproductive to yours as well as ours. Okay, the next one is, what are the challenges I faced as a Wiccan? Again, I've gotten pretty lucky. Now, again, I've read a bunch of stories of stuff that shouldn't have happened. Personally, I think this is a new day and age. It's not the 1900s. It's not the 1800s anymore. It's not the 1600s anymore. We need to grow up and realize that everybody has their own fucking mind and can think for themselves. We don't need to bash them because they don't do this or don't do that, or believe in this or believe in that. Not up to us as to what that person believes in. It is up to us to think for ourselves and to do for ourselves. Simple as that. The next one is, and this is a question I'm probably going to take the longest on, why can only adults join? That is completely false. Now, there are some religions past that I've looked up that don't allow children, but that's for safety measures. You don't allow a child in that doesn't know what they're doing and doesn't have the attention span to learn what they're doing. It's dangerous, especially backfiring spells and all that shit. It can happen. It's obviously happened to me, and I wasn't a child. So, on that same note, me growing up, when I was growing up as a Wiccan, my mother didn't force me to stay home. She didn't force me to do this or do that. She allowed me to go with her to her coven meetings. And granted, I wasn't allowed to do anything there. I was able to witness a coven meeting or a coven ritual or anything of that nature. To say that children are not allowed isn't correct in this point. I think children that are going to be growing up in that fashion should be involved, because if they're not involved, they're going to think it's bad because they weren't involved. So I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that question. I don't know why I wrote it down, but I decided that I wanted to address it because I don't think that only adults can join. I think that any person, regardless of their age, can do it. Now, regardless of I think at some point in their age, they should be allowed to do certain things or not allowed to do certain things. Like when I was first allowed to go to that coven meeting, I wasn't allowed to do spells. I wasn't allowed to do rituals. I wasn't allowed to close the circle or start the circle or anything like that. I wasn't allowed to do anything. The only thing I was allowed to do was sit there and watch. And that's safety measures. You don't want to do it wrong. You don't want to turn something that's supposed to be good into being negative because you're a child and you don't know what you're doing. So that is my point of view. Also, this is the end of the video. So I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I know it's like 11 minutes long, but hopefully this will be something that somebody would find interesting. So that is all I have to say for now, and hopefully my next video will be even more fun, hopefully, and I will see you guys next time.